If you want to become a Guardian Druid in Mists of Pandaria, then first and foremost you need to know what race you're going to play. If you are going Horde, it's Troll. You get an ability called Berserking, which is a massive melee haste buff you could do every few minutes as a cooldown. And if you were going for Alliance, it's going to be Worgen. There's not many other choices, and you get 1% crit, basically. Moving swiftly on to the talents, we don't have the best options as Guardian, I must say. Feline Swiftness increases your movement speed flat out in any form. This is really, really good in my opinion. Wild Charge can be good in certain circumstances, depending on how you use it, but I just like the flat baseline movement increase. Same again with the level 30. So for a tank as Guardian Druid, Zera's gift may be better than actually other specs. So every 5 seconds it heals us for 5% of our health. If we're at full health, the most nearby injured ally is healed. Now in the other specs it's not as useful, but as a tank we're always pretty much going to be taking damage, so this can be a really good way of getting throughput health. However, or in fact so would Cenarian Ward. However, it does come out quite weak. I like to go for Renewal because every 2 minutes we get a 30% maximum health heal. So it's on demand, whereas Zera's gift isn't. So I go with Renewal. On 45, Fairy Swarm, Mass Entanglement and Typhoon is completely up to you. And then at level 60, it's going to be Incarnation. So as a Guardian, we get Son of Ursoc, improved bear form that reduces the cooldown on melee damage abilities and growl to 1.5 seconds. It just really helps us with some DPS and threat, and we get a big burst of that. Same again on 75, it's going to be pretty much up to you depending on utilities. And then at the bottom tier, we find that Heart of the Wild is going to be best. It gives you a flat-out stamina, agility, and intellect 6% increase at all times. So do note it's on a 6-minute cooldown, but the stamina, agility, and intellect isn't on cooldown. That is literally constant. And what you'll also see here is that when activated, it increases all healing done and improves the Druid's ability to perform roles outside of being a Guardian. So non-Guardian ones, while in bear form, blah, 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 but we are Guardians, so we're not going to look at that. Non-feral, while in cat form, our agility, etc. is increased, which we're not going to be doing. Non-restoration, all healing mana cost spells are gone, and Guardian Druids can cast Rejuvenation while shapeshifted. This is useful as we can use Rejuvenation in bear form for a bit of extra healing. It's a heal over time spell if you're not aware. And then spell damage and hit chances increased if we get non-balance. So because we are non-feral, what you don't want to miss out on here, what you don't want to misunderstand is that it says while in cat form, your hit chance, etc. is increased. So we're not going to get a magical hit chance just with this. But I like it just for the baseline agility and stamina increase anyway. The glyphs, we have a few good choices as a Guardian Druid in MoP. The Glyph of Might of Ursoc increases the health gain from Might of Ursoc, but increases the cooldown. If you don't know these abilities, I will be going through them shortly, so don't worry. Rebirth is really good, as it means that we can actually use our battle res and increase people to 100% life versus, I think, 40 or 60% without using this glyph. And I like Stampeding Roar, meaning that our Stampeding Roar ability, which increases movement speed temporarily for all nearby allies, will have a much bigger radius. There is one I want to talk to you about, which could be really useful depending on the use case, and that is, if I can find it, Survival Instincts. So that's a cooldown here that reduces all damage you take by 50% for 12 seconds on a 3-minute cooldown. What this glyph does is it reduces the cooldown by 60 seconds, so from 3 minutes to 2 minutes, but it reduces the duration to 6 seconds. When this could be really useful to use is if a boss ability goes off, let's say, every 2 minutes, and it's just a 1 second boom, they've hit you with it and the damage is done, then as long as you use it in that 6 second window, then you're going to be fine, and you can use it every 2 minutes as the boss does. And 3 minutes might mean that you're having to use other things, or you may even die because you don't have the cooldowns available. Whereas if you're having sustained damage over 10 seconds, obviously leaving it as it is without the glyph would be more useful. So it really does depend if that glyph is useful to you or not. For Mists of Pandaria Classic, I'm teaming up with Zygor to give you 20% off with code Javier. Zygor gives you the fastest and most efficient leveling experience. As you can see here, looking at killing snow leopards, I can even click all the different waypoint coordinates to see the fastest way to get to the different areas they may be in. It can also look at flight paths and show me which ways to go, including all of the different travel options. And when choosing quest rewards, it can even tell me which is the best upgrade for me. And this will be even spec dependent. I can click on the gloves, complete the quest, and then it will even tell me to equip them and shows me how much attributes and stats I will gain by equipping these items. Maybe even talents. I can use the talent advisor with Zygor, simply clicking that I want to be an Affliction Warlock, and it's going to configure it automatically to show me the best leveling build for Affliction for me. The fun doesn't stop there, though, because it's available for SOD, Classic, Retail, Leveling. I can choose zones I want to go into, and it'll tell me how to get there and do all of the leveling in that zone, even if you're going back to old zones that you've leveled out of. Dungeons, dailies, events, reputation, gold making, professions, pets and mounts, and achievements. You can use as little or as much as you like. And don't forget, you can get 20% off with code Javier and battle past everyone at lightning speed in Mr. Pandaria Classic. Moving on to the exciting bit, which is, of course, the rotation now. So what I've got here is our single target rotation and AoE rotation, and then kind of cooldowns over here. So number one is going to be Mangle, and we're going to use this on cooldown. I'm specifically talking about single target here, so that's our number one priority. Mangle the target for some weapon damage, and you reduce the target's movement speed, and you generate 5 rage. So rage is this here, we have 100 rage, and this is our main resource when we are in bear form. Now, I am telling you to keep it on cooldown. Some of our other abilities may reset the cooldown of it, so make sure you are looking out for if it's coming off cooldown early. The next thing we're going to do is use Thrash, and we're going to keep up the bleed effect that it puts on our target. As you can see, Thrash bleeding every 2 seconds. It strikes all enemy targets within 8 yards, so not just one, dealing bleed damage and an additional amount of bleed damage, and causes the weakened blow effect, which is this one here, which reduces how much damage they deal. So you can see there my Mangle has just lit up and it's been reduced by the cooldown. Each time Thrash actually hits the target, it has a 25% chance to reset the cooldown on Mangle. Then we have Fairy Fire, so this is going to put 3 stacks of weakened armour onto our target, reducing their armour by 12%. Somebody else in the raid or group may be applying this as well, so make sure that you are talking to your raid team, etc., and actually check if you are meant to be using this or if somebody else is, because otherwise you could be wasting your time. Then we have Lacerate, and you could pretty much spam this as much as you can if all of these other things are done. If you're using Mangle on cooldown, you're keeping up the bleed on Thrash, then we're just spamming Macerate as much as we can. This can also reset the cooldown, like there, on your Mangle as well. It deals bleed damage and can stack up to 3 times. Apart from that, we can use Maul, but only in certain circumstances. 1, if we have this buff here, Tooth and Claw. Your next Maul causes its victim's next auto attack to deal less damage. So whenever Maul lights up, we are going to use it. Or if you have near maximum rage. So we've got 100 rage here, so it'd be a great time to use Maul. It costs 30 rage, and we're basically using it to dump our rage in an aggressive manner. So there's offensive and defensive. It's an offensive rage dump. If you're wondering where Tooth and Claw comes from, it's this passive here. Your auto attacks have a chance to empower your next Maul. Empowered Mauls cause the next auto attack to do less damage, like I said. So let's just go over that single target rotation once more. Use Mangle absolutely on cooldown. Keep up the bleed from Thrash. Use Fairy Fire to reduce the target's armor if nobody else is applying this. Use Lacerate pretty much on cooldown as well, and then use Maul only if you're under the effects of Tooth and Claw, so when your Maul is lit up, or when you basically, it even says it on the tooltip, use when you have more rage than you can spend. Going into the AoE rotation, we're using Thrash to make, because obviously it's an AoE attack, so use Thrash to keep up the bleed on all targets near you. Use your Mangle and cooldown as a second priority, and then you'll just be using Swipe, basically, rather than Lacerate, and this will swipe nearby enemies and deals increased damage against bleeding targets. We then have our Growl, which is our taunt, obviously taunting the target to attack us. And we also have Skull Bash on a 15-second cooldown, which is your interrupt to interrupt the enemy spellcasting, which you should be doing as much as possible. Moving on to our cooldowns, we have Incarnation Son of Ursoc. It's an improved bear form that reduces the cooldown on all melee abilities and growl to 1.5 seconds, so we can use our abilities a lot more often, so it's a great kind of burst damage period when we use Son of Ursoc. We have Frenzied Regeneration, instantly converting up to 60 rage into 50,000 health, and also Savage Defense, increasing your chance to dodge by 45% for 6 seconds, and you have 3 charges of this. That is why I said on your maul, only use it offensively if you have too much rage, because if I just go, yeah, I'm going to spam my maul and, you know, use all my rage, you might need to use Frenzied Regeneration. Sorry, not Frenzy Regeneration, Savage Defense, which costs 60 rage. You may need it for that. However, we do also have Enrage, generating 20 rage, and additional 10 rage over 10 seconds every minute, so we can use that to get some rage back. And also Bark Skin, reducing how much damage we take. There's also Survival Instincts, reducing how much damage you take. Renewal is the talent I showed you earlier, healing 30% health. And then we have Berserk, causing your Mangle to hit up to 3 targets and have no cooldown. So this is a really fantastic way of, again, doing burst damage, especially in AoE, because we can use Mangle as much as we like, and it will actually hit multiple targets. So we've got a lot of burst damage that we can do in this spec. We also have Heart of the Wild, which I explained earlier, Innovate, where you can help out your healers, and Rebirth, of course, which is your battle res for resurrecting other people in battle. There is also one other, which is really, really interesting. Where is it? Symbiosis. It's not a cooldown, but I do want to talk about it now. Basically, you create a symbiotic link with somebody else in your party or raid, and you will actually get a spell of theirs. For instance, if you use this on a Death Knight, you will actually get Bone Shield, which is a minor defensive cooldown. If you use Consecration, if you use it on Paladins, you'd get Consecration, which can help you with AoE threat and DPS. You could use it on a Rogue and get the Faint ability, reducing how much damage you take from AoE abilities for 5 seconds. Life Tap from Warlocks, where you can actually get a full Rage bar before combat and make initial aggro easier. Or Spell Reflection, reflecting a harmful spell, and that's from Warriors. Those are the classes I would recommend that maybe you use it with. You can use it with any class. However, if you use it with another tank, they will also get a minor defensive cooldown from you, because it does go both ways. So what I would recommend is use it on a Warrior tank, a Death Knight tank, or a Paladin tank, depending who is on your raid group, because you would both really, really benefit from the symbiotic link. I would show you it actually in action in-game, but I'm not in a party, I'm on my own, so I can't, unfortunately. Going through some more utilities and things that we have in our arsenal, we have Bear Hug, which stuns the target and deals some of your health to them. The Druid is immobilized for 3 seconds, however, and it does activate Bear Form. We have Remove Corruption, removing all curse and poison effects. You may need to help out your healer with this, it depends. Typhoon and Ursul's Vortex. So Ursul's Vortex, basically your enemy will get sucked into this vortex, and when they try and leave it, so if they're in it and they try and leave, they will then get sucked back in. Typhoon blasts your enemies away. It can also work as an interrupt, because obviously if they're casting a spell, you're pushing them away and interrupting their spell casting. Feline Swiftness we spoke about earlier, which increases your movement speed. Infected Wounds, your Shred, Ravage, Maul, etc. cause an infected wound, which will reduce their movement speed. Leader of the Pack is actually going to increase critical strike chance of everyone in the party by 5%. That's that buff up here. Our Mastery increases our armor. So the more Mastery we have, the more armor we have. And we have Thick Hide, massively increasing armor of bear form to 330%, reducing magical damage taken, reducing physical damage taken, and reducing the chance to be critically hit. And it also helps reduce by the cooldown on your Bark Skin cooldown. Tooth and Claw we've spoken about. Vengeance, each time you take damage in bear form, you gain some unmitigated damage as attack power. And then moving on to the actual Druid tree, we have Dash, which will put you into cat form, but makes you run away really quickly. And the same with Stampeding Roar. This actually increases the movement speed of all friendly players by 60%, and it will remove roots and snares from people as well. So this is a really great buff that we can put on for 6-7 seconds. How much is it? 7 seconds? 8 seconds. removing roots and snares and speeding everyone up. So if you need to get from A to B in a raid very quickly, Stampeding Roar is a fantastic way to do this. Soothe will also remove enrage effects from your enemy as well. And we can also go into cat form and prowl if you're not aware of that. Feline Grace removes some fall damage. And then we have Primal Fury, which is this one. Sorry, not that one there. Getting all mixed up. Primal Fury, you gain 15 rage every time you deal a critical strike with Mangle, and you gain an additional combo point, blah, blah, blah. But we don't need to worry about that because that's for cat form. So you just need to look at the rage bit on there. If you are struggling, there is actually a core abilities bit in here as well, and it tells you what has changed as well. In Mr. Pandaria, if you are coming from Cataclysm, which is really cool, which they've now added into the spell book. But that is the main rotation covered off for you guys. For the stat priority, you're actually going to want on the gear you're getting as a Guardian Druid in MoP. Number one is going to be stamina. This is because it increases your health. And obviously as a tank, we want more and more health. Now, the other thing you will also need as a very high amount is going to be hit chance. If you hover over your hit chance, it shows you your current miss chance, and you want to get to 7.5% hit rating. After that, you're going to want crit chance, and then after that, it's going to be expertise. Expertise, similarly to the chance of you hitting the boss, this is actually the chance that the boss can dodge or parry your attacks. And then after that, you're just going to go for haste rating so we can get more rage quicker, increase attack speed, etc. So going into a bit more detail on this, when you think about hit rating, it's not just the fact that you are actually going to miss hitting the boss. In theory, because you attack the boss and then you generate threat as a tank, getting hit rating and expertise rating is actually going to therefore increase your threat generation and your survivability. That is because you can land more hits and generate more rage that can then be used on things like Savage Defense and Frenzied Regeneration. So it's 7.5 for hit chance and 15% for expertise rating. However, getting the expertise rating, especially earlier in the expansion, may not be quite possible, so just try your best. Critical strike rating is also going to massively increase rage generation, which again, in turn, allows you to get more savage defenses and frenzied regens out. Haste will increase your rage regen, which kind of indirectly boosts your survivability because you can use more auto attacks and things like that, which means you get more tooth and claw procs. Agility is also not actually bad, and nor is dodge rating, but they're just not the top ones, in my opinion. Because agility actually increases your attacks and critical, your crit hit chance as well. But if you just follow the priority that I gave you, then you should be absolutely fine. Going on to professions and gems, etc. It's quite simple, really, for Guardian Druids. Austere Primal Diamond. On your yellow slot, you're going to put a Smooth Sun's Radiance. On your red slots, it's going to be Crafty Vermilion Onyxes or Perfect Crafty Tiger Opals, depending on how much you have, and Jagged Wild Jade, etc. for the blue gem. For the enchants, we have the Inscription Shoulders on here, greater protection on the back, superior stamina on the chest. You could put mighty stats? Something stats, whatever it is in MoP. I think it's mighty stats on the chest instead, but stamina does come out better for us tanks. On your wrist, it's going to be greater agility. If you do have leatherworking, you're instead going to use the fur lining stamina. And if you do have blacksmithing, you can add an additional socket onto your bracer here, and that'd be as well as the fur lining. Shar armor kit on your hands. Again, you can put a socket on there with blacksmithing, and you've got the synapse springs if you have engineering. Everyone can put on the living steel belt buckle. It's not an enchant, but it is something extra you can put on there, no matter your profession. Shadow leather leg armor, or again, if you have leatherworking, you're going to put the primal leg reinforcements on. Blurred speed, or if you can't afford it, greater haste on the boots. Greater stamina on your rings, but again, that's only if you're an enchanter. And on your weapons, it's dancing steel or windsong. Looking at the professions you should take, if you go with blacksmithing, you can get about 640 crit because of the sockets you're going to add to your bracer and gloves, meaning you can get 2 more gems. Jewel crafting gives about 320 crit. Through the ability to use 2 smooth serpent's eyes. So jewel crafting is actually half as good as blacksmithing will be. A lot of them are fairly interchangeable, like alchemy and enchanting and inscription are all very similar, and herbalism. So, sorry, not herbalism. Alchemy gives you 480 stamina. Enchanting will also give you 480 stamina due to the rings, which I quite like. Engineering is going to give you a lot of dodge. It sort of works as like an extra trinket, but not as good as trinkets. Inscription gives you more stamina of 450, so it's not as good as alchemy and enchanting. Leatherworking gives you 750 stamina. And then tailoring gives you about 1,000 attack power through the embroideries, and herbalism gives you haste rating. In my opinion, what would you go with? I like blacksmithing for the massive amount of extra crit, but I do also like alchemy and enchanting for the 480 stamina. So it really is, it's up to you. All of these ones here are good. I've just left out the ones that are absolute rubbish. The only gathering one you're going to want is herbalism if you are looking to get the bonuses from the professions. For food and flasks, well, you're going to be using Pandaren banquets. Ideally, you'd actually use a Great Banquet of the Oven, if you can, which would give you basically more stamina instead, but it is what it is. You can use Chuntian spring rolls or twin fish platters or wild fowl roasts as well. For your potion, it'll be Flask of the Earth, which gives you 1,500 stamina for an hour. And then for your potions, you're using Potion of the Mountains, giving 12,000 armor. And also, where is it? Here it is. Master healing potions as well, whenever you're taking, magic damage, basically. And your Potion of the Mountains will be for when you're taking physical damage. That concludes everything you should need to know to play Guardian Druid in Mists of Pandaria. I really do hope this was helpful for you. Please do subscribe and leave a thumbs up if you did enjoy it. You can support the channel by joining the Patreon in the description below if you wish. And if you would like to get Zygor, don't forget you can get 20% off with code Javier that is linked down below as well.